Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB and today is the 7th of June 2022. The good news is that Bitcoin did not break the record for being down for 10 consecutive weeks. So technically, it is some good news, but Bitcoin and the overall crypto market is far from what it should have been in an idealistic world. Now, there are many different types of cryptocurrencies, a lot of them, and to be honest, a lot of them don't follow the basic fundamentals of open blockchain and Bitcoin. So what I've done is on my website www.blockchaindxb.com, on the very front page, if you scroll down at the bottom, you will start seeing a series of videos explaining Bitcoin at a very basic and beginner level. So feel free to go to my website www.blockchaindxb.com. I'll start uploading videos, and these videos are going to be relatively small, probably around 8 to 10 minutes each. Now today we're also going to be looking at the second line of the Bitcoin white paper written by the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto and why it is so important. I personally think that everyone needs to understand the second line of white paper, and once you do, 90% or I would even say 99% of the cryptocurrencies, including Solana, would probably not exist. Now today's episode, we will also look at NFTs, and the hype around NFTs, has it died down? What's going to happen with NFTs? Now what happens is every day when I prepare for my daily blogs and for my podcast, I'm really finding it hard to get any news surrounding NFTs. So in today's episode, we will once again discuss the general trend observed in the cryptocurrency space since 2018. Now I did cover this in one of the sessions that I had about Metaverse. I believe around the 6th of May I had a session on Metaverse, and that's where I talked about the trends observed right since 2008 till 2022. Today's episode we would also revisit El Salvador's move of making Bitcoin a legal tender. Was it a good move or not? Now we are nearly 1 year away from when President Nayib Bukele announced Bitcoin as being a legal tender. I think it was around the 2nd or the 3rd of July. I'm not sure about the exact date, but was it a good move? So we'll go to be exploring that in a bit. We'll also discuss some technical details. Now what I tend to do is I tend to look at two reports. One is from Glassnode and the other one is from CoinShares. The Glassnodes and CoinShares, both of them provide weekly updates, and it usually happens on Mondays. Because I'm in Dubai, I tend to look at it on Tuesdays. The Glassnode's weekly updates are very technical with a lot of charts and graphs. I would highly recommend you to go ahead and subscribe to their paid program as well. It's pretty expensive. I believe it's over $800 or so. But if you are into trading, definitely worth subscribing to their program. CoinShares, on the other hand, they have a blog via Medium. It's relatively short and sweet, so we'll very briefly explore that as well. I personally enjoy reading both of them, and I've covered them quite often in the past as well. So let's try to explore that. Today, we're also going to be looking at two news from UAE, and both of them shows the power of Dubai. And to be honest, both the news that I'm be covering today have been covered in the past as little as 2 to 3 months ago. So this particular episode is more of an update from both of the news. The first news is about Crypto.com. So Crypto.com gets provisional approval from Dubai Regulatory Authority. So we're going to be exploring that. And the second news is about Damac Properties. Now Damac Properties completes $50 million in cryptocurrency deals. And this just shows the power of Dubai and how things get done really quickly in Dubai. And yesterday we talked about how not having politics in UAE has its benefits and drawbacks. One of the biggest benefits is time and getting things done at lightning speed. So in today's episode, we will be discussing that as well. So welcome everyone, it's 18 you're in Dubai and you're listening to Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and lately Metaverse as well. How the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is, we usually cover top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, and occasionally short and sweet news as well. We tend to cover news that has impact in the crypto world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. This is followed by Ask Me Anything series, where you listeners can ask any questions from the crypto world from 8:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. Gulf Standard Time. Every Fridays at 8 a.m. Gulf Standard Time, we have an episode called as Metaverse Everything, where we focus solely on Metaverse. So I highly recommend you to check out those episodes as well. The format for the Metaverse Everything podcast is completely different, and I also tend to publish a weekly report. So check out those via my LinkedIn profile. Now my LinkedIn profile is in the show notes as well, or you can also read it via the Medium page for blockchain DXB. So let's kickstart today's episode. Now today is the 7th of June 2022, and I tried to look at the price via coinmarketcap.com. Now the global crypto market is relatively better than yesterday. It is currently at $1.28 trillion. So since the last 24 hours, it is up by 3.05%. The total crypto market volume over the last 24 hours is $73.05 billion. So definitely has increased a lot. That is mostly because it is Monday, and yesterday, because it was the weekend, the crypto market volume has increased by 64.44%. The total volume in DeFi is still down, and it is currently at $6.22 billion. Now, DeFi accounts for 8.52% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. In 2022, DeFi accounted for 16 to 17% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. So DeFi is definitely not having the best of years in 2022, and we'll be exploring that when we talk about the trends observed in the cryptocurrency world right since 2008. The total volume of stablecoins now is at $61.84 billion. Now, stablecoin accounts for 84.66% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. The king of all kings, Bitcoin, the price is definitely much better than last week, and as of today, 7 June, it is at $31,408. Since the last weeks, I would probably even say even a month, the Bitcoin's dominance is gradually increasing, and as of today, it is at 46.86%. Since the last 24 hours, it is marginally decreased by 0.75%, and Ethereum's dominance is currently at 17.70%. Now, the price of Bitcoin since the last 24 hours is up by 4.95%, and since the last 7 days, it is marginally down by 0.73%. Ethereum, the first world computer, price has gone down. Yesterday, I believe it was around $1,900. Today, it is $1,859. In the last 24 hours, it is marginally up by 2.70%. And since the last 7 days, it is down by minus 6.39%. Now, when we talk about the technical details, we will also touch base upon Ethereum and why it is not having a great month. Binance Coin is down to $296. And Binance Coin since the last 24 hours is down by minus 1.25%, and since the last 24 hours it is down by minus 7.60%. So overall, the cryptocurrency market is barely still catching up. Now, have you guys read the Bitcoin white paper? Now, I would heavily recommend you guys to go and read through the Bitcoin white paper. It is extremely technical, but the very second line of Bitcoin white paper is so critical. The later part of the sentence actually states, the main benefits are lost if a trusted party is still required for preventing double spending. And this is so important. When we talk about why Bitcoin was created, it is crystal clear, very simple. It was created so that there is no central entity between two individuals. So essentially, Bitcoin is a perfect example of a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It is so basic, yet so critical, and many blockchain startups and cryptocurrency startups fail to understand and appreciate the power of distributed system. Again, I keep pondering this question. The right terminology that needs to be used is distributed, not decentralized. If you just look at a Google image between distributed and decentralized, you can clearly understand the difference. Also, in the Bitcoin white paper, the word distributed is mentioned more than 12 times. How many times is the word decentralized mentioned? Not even once. Even a lot of cryptocurrency startups and blockchain startups who've been having seminars and sessions don't yet understand the true meaning of distributed systems. So Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. centralized blockchains such as Solana can easily switch off their systems. And this is one of the drawbacks having a central entity. Now, the same thing is applicable for central bank digital currencies, probably even more. So, central bank digital currencies are in a position to track your transactions, close your bank accounts at will. They will very well be in a position to confiscate your account in a matter of seconds. Atlantic Council has released a CBDC tracker, that is a central bank digital currency tracker. That particular tracker shows that currently, as of today, over 105 countries are exploring CBDCs. So definitely CBDCs are going to kick in. Now, how will it work with Bitcoin and open blockchain system? It will be really interesting to see how that thing plays out. Now, Bitcoin.com has published an article that states that the Reserve Bank of India, the Deputy Governor T. Ravi Shankar, says that CBDCs will kill cryptocurrencies. Now, I'm pretty much sure that they don't understand the true meaning of Bitcoin and open blockchain. And India, I think, is the only country which is taking one step behind, whereas other countries are taking 10 steps ahead. Even a country like Pakistan is definitely very crypto friendly, but India is the only country which is probably taking 10 steps behind. So, the Deputy Governor T.B. Shankar says that CBDCs could kill cryptocurrencies. And if you read through the article, he does have a very negative outlook towards Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So definitely not a good thing. Now, we at Blockchain DXB also have a session where we discuss central bank digital currencies in detail. The session is completely free, of course, and it is called as The Basics, Threats to Freedom, and How Will Central Bank Digital Currencies Work in the Metaverse. So keep checking out my website, and I'll update you guys when you might be able to see the next session as well. Or you can alternatively go to eventbrite.com, type in blockchaindxb.com, and you will find out when I have the next session. Now, what I plan to do is, hopefully by this month or probably next month, every week I'll have one session. So 1 week I'll have a session maybe on CBDC, the next week maybe on Metaverse, the next week maybe on stable coins, and the next week maybe on something else. So in case if you guys do want to help me out by probably doing a voiceover or doing the editing part, or just want to be present and kind of giving me some kind of support, drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. The next news I'd like to talk about is Bitcoin being a legal tender in El Salvador. Roughly around a year ago, President Nayib Bukele did make a decision to make Bitcoin a legal tender. Now, was it a good move or has the experiment failed? Now, in El Salvador, a recent survey done by the University Institute of Public Opinion of the Jose Simeon Carlos, that is the Central American University, has found that more than 70% of the citizens believe that Bitcoin law has not improved their personal finances. Now, if you look at the price of Bitcoin as of today, that definitely seems right. And also the question which I always tend to ponder, Bitcoin being completely open source, completely peer-to-peer, is it easier for an autocratic leader and an autocratic nation to force Bitcoin onto its individuals? And surprisingly, as much as we dislike it, the answer is definitely yes. Before making any judgments on President Nayib Bukele, I would highly recommend you to go ahead and watch his interview with Peter McCormack. Absolutely brilliant interview. You'll be surprised at the initiatives taken by the president to actually go ahead and help El Salvadorians. And there are essentially two parts in the video. The first one was done roughly around 9 to 10 months ago, and he talks about the different articles that is introduced to make Bitcoin legal tender. And just to give you a broad outlook, it is not compulsory for a citizen to accept Bitcoin. There are different articles and provisions made. So definitely great move by President Nayib Bukele. There is another interview which I believe was done roughly around 2 weeks ago, giving us an update on what the status is. So I would definitely recommend you guys to go ahead and watch through that particular video. And Peter McCormack has done a brilliant job, and he did ask him some really tough questions as well. One of the questions that he asked is, are you an autocratic leader? And the approach and the answer given by President Nayib Bukele was absolutely brilliant. So before making any judgments, I would appreciate if you guys go ahead and listen to both of the interviews. The next topic I'd like to talk about is NFTs. Is the hype over? Now, since last year or so, I get countless number of emails and messages. The first thing they ask me is about NFTs. A lot of the NFT startups in Dubai don't even know what Bitcoin is, but they have a marketplace completely set up for NFTs. So, is the NFT hype over? Something which I mentioned at the start of the episode today as well. When I tend to do my research for my blogs and my podcasts, lately for the last few months or so, I'm not finding much news about NFTs. CryptoSlam.io has revealed that the NFT sales have dropped 65.43% since last month. And even in yesterday's episode, one of the persons asked me a question, do you see a future in NFT? And I said that as an average everyday user, we may not see the benefits of NFTs, but for high net worthy individuals, and if there are some tax concessions or tax benefits by having some expensive arts, then NFTs will still remain. Now, on similar point, Google has also published a report where the queries on Google are on a downtrend, and the data indicates that the interest in NFTs has dropped down to the lowest since the first week of October of 2021. Now, Bitcoin.com has a brilliant and detailed breakdown on the website. Now, in case if you want to find the link, go to bitcoin.com and type in NFT hype, or you can also go to my LinkedIn profile, and in all of my blog posts you will find the official source as well. Now, since 2008, the general trend that I've observed is in 2008, people who didn't understand Bitcoin often called Bitcoin as a scam. That continued till roughly around 2012 and 2013. In 2013, when I got involved, people were often calling Bitcoin as an internet money, something that can only be used on the internet, kind of a scam, but it did have some value. And in 2015, that's when some of the top publications like McKinsey started writing about blockchain technology, and the whole narrative back then was blockchain, not Bitcoin. And that continued till roughly around 2016, and when Ethereum got launched after that, it was the whole ICO era, that is the initial coin offering. So 2017, it was the initial coin offering era. Then roughly around in 2019, that's when MakerDAO, which is often called as the boomer DeFi, got evolved, and then that was the era of DeFi. So listen guys, if you are into NFTs, just so that you know, in 2019, the entire hype was about DeFi. And if you look at DeFi, what is going on right now, pretty much DeFi is dead. The total value locked in DeFi at the start of the year was $264 billion. As of today, the total value locked in DeFi is less than $110 billion. Is that the same thing that could happen to NFTs? Maybe. Now in 2020 is when the Beeple artwork was sold for $69 million, and it was purchased by Meta. That's when the whole NFT hype increased, and that's where things like Gary Vee, a lot of the celebrities and influencers like Snoop Dogg, they started talking about NFTs. So the hype of NFTs was absolutely humongous during 2020. What happened at 2021 towards the last quarter, that's when Facebook changed their name to Meta. And since 2021 till now, what is in the news is Metaverse along with central bank digital currencies. So central bank digital currencies are also getting a lot of news in the cryptocurrency world. So if you were to ask anyone today, what is the highlight of the topic? It is Metaverse and central bank digital currencies. Now the next news I'd like to talk about is a little bit of technical information, but in this episode, I will not be going into the technical details because you need to actually go ahead and look at the screen. Now, Glassnode, they tend to provide a weekly insight, and this happens every Monday. Now, this particular insight report indicates a stressful situation for Bitcoin miners and hodlers as investors are now holding unrealized losses. What that means is the Bitcoin mining difficulty is increasing. And because the Bitcoin mining difficulty is increasing, it becomes really expensive to go ahead and mine Bitcoins. With the current price tag of Bitcoin at roughly around $31,000, it is a loss situation for Bitcoin miners. So definitely not looking good for miners. And the same thing for hodlers or people who have been holding onto Bitcoin for the dear life. They are currently in unrealized losses. A lot of them bought Bitcoin when it was roughly around $64,000, $69,000. But because they haven't sold their Bitcoin, it's considered as unrealized losses. So definitely not looking good for a lot of Bitcoin holders who have recently got into the space. The report also talks about long-term holders who are also facing losses. So there are quite a lot of people like Michael Saylor, who just got involved in Bitcoin probably in early 2020s. He bought Bitcoin when it was roughly around $34,000. Now currently, even though he might be considered as a long-term holder, he's also facing losses. And the report also talks about cumulative realized losses and quite a lot more. So if you are a technical geek and likes to look at charts, I would definitely recommend you to go and read through Glassnode. Coin shares, they also tend to publish a report via a medium. Now it is a blog which is done by James Butterfield. Now that particular blog also confirms that the inflows have totaled to $100 million last week, and mostly the investors are focusing on Bitcoin, which means that bullish times could be ahead, but this is applicable only for Bitcoin. Now the drawback is Ethereum continues to suffer, and there's a lot of outflows totaling $32 million last week. So what has happened in case of Ethereum, a lot of the investors are taking out the funds, and Ethereum has 9 straight weeks of outflows. So a lot of investors are believing in the power of Bitcoin and they're investing funds into Bitcoin. But in the so-called blockchain protocols like Ethereum and Solana, the investors are withdrawing their funds, and it's most likely that they're withdrawing the funds and putting it into Bitcoin. Now listen guys, I've been in the Bitcoin space since 2013. All of the predictions are 100% wrong, or rather should I say that Bitcoin predictions are 100% right 50% of the time. It is so critical to understand the fundamentals and technical analysis. Don't trust and verify is one of the most important things that is applicable for Bitcoin and open blockchain protocol. Even some key people from the Bitcoin space, such as Dan Held, who is regarded to be one of the OGs of Bitcoin, he is also providing misleading information. A couple of weeks ago, he tweeted something which had to do with cryptocurrencies, but he linked that only to Bitcoin. Incorrect, fake news. Now on his LinkedIn and via Twitter, once again he has provided with misleading information. What he said that nearly 66% of Bitcoin has not moved in a year, and this could mean that it is extremely bullish. Now this is definitely misleading information. So do your own research. Do not listen to Bitcoin OGs, because at the end of the day, they have their own self-interest. It could be possible that Dan Held, he has a lot of investors and he wants to convince them that the power of Bitcoin is still there. And that's one of the reasons why he tweeted and mentioned misleading information via LinkedIn and Twitter. Now guys, let's move on to next news about UAE. So the first news is Crypto.com gets provisional approval from Dubai Regulatory Authority. As you know, that Crypto.com is one of the leading cryptocurrency exchanges in the world, and they were formed in 2016. Crypto.com is on a mission to accelerate the world's transition to cryptocurrencies. I'm pretty much sure everyone in the world has heard of Crypto.com, and it is a leading cryptocurrency exchange which is based in Singapore. Now, as of today, the company has 50 million customers and 4,000 employees. Earlier this year, in March, Crypto.com announced plan to open a regional hub in Dubai. So all promises have been kept. Now, the news broke out that Crypto.com receives provisional approval to open a crypto exchange in Dubai. And this is done by Dubai's regulatory authority called as VARA, that is Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority. So, Dubai Virtual Assets Regulatory Authority has provisionally approved Crypto.com's Virtual Asset MVP license. So what this will do is it will allow Crypto.com to offer a full range of crypto exchange products and services. The UAE government and Crypto.com are also partnering through Investopia. Now the partnership between Crypto.com, the UAE government and Investopia is to advance global financial innovation both domestically and internationally. So definitely looking good. Hilal Saeed Al-Mari, who's the Director General of the Dubai World Trade Center Authority, has said, as a licensed participant, Crypto.com will be one of the anchors partnering with VARA in the development of a global future-focused regulatory framework. So definitely a great news. both for cryptocurrency world and for Dubai as well. It puts Dubai at the forefront of cryptocurrency news, and more importantly, it attracts other cryptocurrency exchanges, the blockchain as a service protocol, or cryptocurrency as a service protocols in Dubai, and at the same time, it also increases competition, which means at the end of the day, the customers are the ones who are benefited the most. The next news that I'd like to talk about is about DAMAC properties. This is something which I once again covered, I believe, in the 2nd of May. The news is that DAMAC completes $50 million in crypto deals. On the 2nd of May, I did publish a report via my LinkedIn, and I had a podcast as well where I talked about DAMAC properties. So essentially, DAMAC was founded in 2002, and the CEO is Hussein Sajwani. So what DAMAC is, it is essentially an Emirati property development company based in Dubai, and it is the forefront of the Middle East's luxury real estate market since 2002. In January of 2015, DAMAC Properties was publicly listed on Dubai Financial Market, so definitely one of the top companies. The news on the 27th of April was that DAMAC Properties to facilitate transactions for property purchase by crypto holders. So DAMAC Properties announced that it is stepping up to serve the digital economy by facilitating the conversion to fiat, so sale of properties to holders of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And the whole idea was to serve DAMAC's vision of leveraging technology to provide innovative solutions to evolve customers. Now, because they did that, it will definitely help DAMAC's efforts of providing convenience and optionality to real investors worldwide. Now, fast forward that to a month now, DAMAC has completed $50 million in crypto deals, and Ali Sajwani has said that the company has already succeeded in concluding real estate deals worth $50 million via cryptocurrencies. So promises made, promises kept. But there is an article about this mentioned in Bitcoin.com as well. What it says is that the company is still facing challenges convincing the older generations, decision makers to buy into Metaverse, NFTs, and cryptocurrencies. So the CEO has said that the payment process is made through a trusted financial intermediary, which is approved by the Abu Dhabi Global Market, the Heaven Company, where customers pay the value of the property in Bitcoin or Ethereum, as they are amongst the most traded digital currencies in terms of safety and trust, and then the financial intermediary transfers the amount to a digital wallet in dirhams or dollars. So the financial intermediary is called as Haven Digital Asset Exchange. It is spelled as HAVYN. So again, this goes back to the definition of the Bitcoin white paper. So DAMAC is definitely doing a great thing for its customers, but they are introducing a financial intermediary. So not an ideal use case, and it defeats the whole purpose of having Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Again, remember, Bitcoin is peer-to-peer, so there is no central entity or financial intermediary involved. Now, what DAMAC could have done is, rather than using the financial intermediary, they could have done these transactions either by using Lightning Network or by using Liquid Network. Now, by using Lightning Network and Liquid Network, the transactions are still peer-to-peer and the funds can get transferred into the local currency. Again, going back to the basics, it's so critical for people to understand, especially top companies, to understand the second line of the definition. That is, Bitcoin is a peer-to-peer electronic cash system without the need for a central intermediary. So that's all for today, guys, on the Crypto and Coffee Update from Blockchain DXB. In case if you guys have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. You can also check out my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com. You can also check out my other website, that is www.area2071.com. If you like listening to this, please follow this podcast, click on the follow button, and share the word across. Now, for the next 30 minutes, it's going to be an Ask Me Anything series where you listeners can ask any questions about Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, DeFi, NFTs, Metaverse as well. Thanks so much for listening, and let's see you guys in the Ask Me Anything series. Hey everyone, it's George from Blockchain DXB. You're listening to the Ask Me Anything series where your listeners can ask any questions about Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and Metaverse as well. Now remember, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., we have Crypto and Coffee Update, where we cover top news and information from the cryptocurrency world. This is followed by 2 news and information from Dubai, UAE, and Middle East in the world of Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and Metaverse. What you're listening to right now is an Ask Me Anything series. You listeners can ask any questions from the cryptocurrency world. Now, I have a first question by Riley, who asks, can you tell us more about the CBDC event that you plan to have? Oh yes, Riley, what I tend to do is every month I have a session on central bank digital currencies. In fact, I just had the first session literally last week on central bank digital currencies. Now, the next one, I haven't published the date yet. So what you can do, Riley, is you can keep checking on my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com, or you can also go to eventbrite.com. So essentially what the session is, I talk about central bank digital currencies at an extremely basic level. So it is the topic is called central bank digital currencies, the basics, threats to freedom, and metaverse. So I talk about the history of central bank digital currencies, how will CBDs actually work, the current state of CBDC, as I talked about earlier today, that over 105 countries are working on central bank digital currencies. One of the topics that I discussed last week was that El Salvador, would they have been better by adopting central bank digital currencies instead of Bitcoin? And I also talked about the IMF's stand on central bank digital currencies, and when will UAE be launching a central bank digital currency? So in that session, Raleigh, I also talk about CBDCs versus Bitcoin, and CBDC, a threat to freedom, and how politicians can literally close your account, monitor each and every of your transactions. So in US, let's say, if the Democratic Party or left-wing party does launch central bank digital currencies, and if they find out that their citizens are attending a MAGA rally, there's a very high possibility that they would literally shut out their bank accounts, maybe even close all of their financial transactions. So that could be absolutely daunting. So it's going to be a threat to freedom. What are the political implications? What are the support and resistance to central bank digital currencies? And there's also a very important podcast, O'Reilly, by Richard Turin. And the podcast is on YouTube with Bankless. I would highly recommend you to go and watch that. And in case if you want to find out more information about CBDCs, Richard Turin, I think he's the OG on central bank digital currency. So I'll definitely recommend you to go and watch it. Also, I discussed the different types of CBDCs, that is wholesale CBDCs, retail CBDCs, multiple CBDCs. But my favorite is the role of central bank digital currencies in the metaverse. So that is something which I'll be talking about in terms of how will CBDCs work in the metaverse. I have another question by Parik, who has asked a question about metaverse. Can you tell us more about metaverse? That is exactly correct, Parik. What I tend to do is I had a session on metaverse, and I believe the session was on the 6th of May where I talked about metaverse. Let me just quickly have a look at what the topic was on the 6th of May, because I don't remember it offhand. So I'm just looking at my screens right now on the 6th of May. So what I'm planning to do, guys, is every month I'll have a session either on a Thursday or Friday. So 1 week I'm going to be having a session on metaverse. The next week maybe on central bank digital currencies. The next week what I thought was, maybe have it on stable coins, because, the whole Terra Luna crash and the future of stable coins is something which is quite critical. Maybe I might have it on stable coins where I go ahead and explore the different types of stable coins. And the fourth one, I'm not sure, maybe on NFTs or maybe on current trends which have been observed. I'll have to wait and see. But going back to your question, Parik, I did have a session on the 6th of May called Metaverse, where I talked about the history of Metaverse, what is Metaverse, the hype of Metaverse, the New World Order, which Joe Biden is behind the New World Order, and with the whole decarbonization, where does Metaverse fit in? And I also talked about the hardware and software in Metaverse and the role of NFTs in Metaverse. Essentially, Parik, this session is divided into two parts, which is part A and part B. In part A is where I talk about all these things, and in part B is where it gets a little bit more technical, and I talk about areas where Metaverse merges with the physical world. And do we require blockchain in the Metaverse? Personally, I don't think you require blockchain in the Metaverse, or even cryptocurrencies for that matter, but I explore what are the alternatives, and I talk about the news and events surrounding Metaverse in Dubai. Now, next month, there's a session taking place at the Museum of Future, and it talks about Metaverse and the future of Metaverse. So that'll be a really interesting one as well, Parik. Parik also asked where can we get all this information. So Parik, what I would recommend you do is go to eventbrite.com and type in blockchain DXB. It'll give you a list of all of the events. Or you can also drop me an email at info@blockchaindxb.com and keep checking my website as well. And that's where I will be updating all of my events. So that's all for today, guys, from the Ask Me Anything series. And in case if you guys do have any feedback or suggestions, please drop me an email to info@blockchaindxb.com. And please check out my website, that is www.blockchaindxb.com. You can also check out my other website, that is area2071.com, which talks everything about Metaverse. And if you like listening to this podcast, click on the follow button, share the word across, and remember, Monday to Thursdays, 8 a.m. to 8:30 a.m., we have Crypto and Coffee at 8, where we cover top news and information pertaining to Bitcoin, blockchain, beyond blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs, DeFi, and lately Metaverse as well. How the series of episodes on the Crypto and Coffee at 8 works is we cover some top news and information pertaining to the price of cryptocurrencies, some major breaking news, occasionally short and sweet news as well. News that has an impact in the crypto world. The other two news and information is related to Dubai, UAE, and Middle East from the cryptocurrency world. Thanks so much for listening, guys, and have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.